Hey there, welcome to week 11, where we will begin taking a look at images and the pixels in those images. Between this week and next week, we're going to deal with images and videos. Whether we're talking about images or videos, the pixel data is more or less the same. But for this week, we're going to we'll concentrate on static images, and then next week we'll deal with capturing either video data or webcam information, and then manipulating that. But you guys have seen us using the load image command in several times in the past couple of weeks. We did it with the little Harvard shields, and I think I've spoken with some of you guys in the forums about it. But what happens when you take an image, you load an image via the P5 load image function, or whether you create an image from nothing via the P5 create image function, which we'll see a little bit later this week. What you end up with is a P5 object. And that P5 object, like so many of the other objects in P5.js, has methods that will allow you to do stuff to that object. So in this video, I'm going to show you, well, over here on the reference page, here we are on the reference page for the P5 image object itself, right? And it shows you an example of how you might either, in this case, they're creating an image, they're not loading an image, but we'll get to that. But what I wanted to show you on this page is down here after the description, you will see that there are these methods that we can explore within a P5 image object. And we'll get to load pixels and update pixels in the next video, so we'll just table that for now. And get and set is also something we're going to deal with this week, a little bit later. But you'll see that there are some other commands here that we can, for example, take an image and then resize it to a different dimension. We could copy either a region of pixels or the entire image to use somewhere else. We can do something like mask an image, which is actually what I'm going to show you guys how to do in just a few minutes here. But there are other filters for those of you who want to maybe take an image in and perhaps you would want to do something like make it a grayscale image, or blur it, do a Gaussian blur or something like that, or invert the colors of the image so that it's photo negative, grayscale. There are filter functions that we could call via whatever your image name. Say you do something in P5 like let my image equal load image my JPEG.jpg or something like that. So you have this my image variable. You can say my image.filter grayscale, and then you could have a grayscale version of that image. So there's that sort of thing. There are there are blend modes, right? So for those of you who know a little bit about Photoshop blend modes, we have those available to us as well in P5. So you can see here that they're doing some blending techniques, and I'm going to leave this to you to read about, but you can choose from some familiar blend modes like multiply or screen or lighten or overlay or soft light, that sort of thing, just like you would in Photoshop. So speaking of Photoshop, before we head into code, let me take us through a quick detour to Photoshop. And these are the images that I'm going to be using for this lecture. If you don't already know them by now, I'd like to introduce you to Poppy here on the left and Branch, who's in the middle of the page. I used these same images last year. It seems like I haven't stopped watching these movies since. Anyone with small kids can relate that unless it's DreamWorks or Pixar or Disney, I'm probably not watching very much of it. So my kids dominate my leisure time, my screen time. So yeah, so we got trolls. Sorry. And so anyway, what you'll see here are 3 images. They're all the same size. I think they're 800 by 500 pixels for this particular exercise. And what we're going to do is load these images and composite them in such a way that we can overlay one atop the other. And what you'll notice, for those of you who aren't familiar with Photoshop, you'll see this image here that looks remarkably like Branch's shadow, right? So what I've done here is I've created a very quick mask of Branch's body shape, right? And let me see, I'll just kind of, whoops, sorry, thought I wasn't here. So you can see if you look closely over here, you'll see that where you see the little checkerboard signs, that actually is Photoshop's indicator of transparency. So there's no data there, right? So what we're going to do is the way that P5's mask method works, if there is pixel data in the image that you're using as a mask, it's going to keep that information. If there's no pixel information there, if there's no pixel data, it will remove that information. Okay, so what this image is going to be used for is to act as a mask for our branch image. And what we'll do is we'll apply this image as the mask to our branch image. And then we can overlay it atop of this poppy image, and we'll get, just like you would get in Photoshop layers, we can do the same thing in P5. So that's our goal. We'll take it one step at a time. We'll go over here to code and see if we can make something happen. Let's see. All right, don't want to reveal that quite yet. Let's see. I'm going to go and I'm going to split the screen here so that I'll put our code editor on the left. All right. This is our window that's running this sketch here that's on the left. You'll see right out of the gates that I am creating 3 variables that are going to hold the images for our poppy character, our branch character, and then that image mask that I showed you, right? So here in preload, as we remember, the preload's job is to get all of our assets collected, right? To get all of our stuff ready to go before we start our sketch. So it loads all that stuff in. We're going to load those 3 images in as poppy, branch, and the image mask accordingly. Okay, I should show you where these are. Some of you are still having some troubles loading images. First off, you need to be running a server of some sort, whether it's a local server or to FTP this stuff up to your remote server. Load image isn't going to work unless you're running in a server environment. Okay, and then the way that we are, sorry that I've got kind of a mess here, but we are in week 11.1, which you can see down here. Gosh. Okay, week 11.1. I have an assets directory, and in that assets directory are my 3 image files. Okay, so as you go here, you'll see, and let me just reduce my file folder here. You'll see that I have my images being called as assets, assets folder / and whatever the name of the images are. Okay, so that's now taking our 3 images, and I'm gonna comment a lot of this stuff out. All right. So line 15. We have a canvas that we're creating. I'm creating the canvas the exact same size as our image files. So our canvas is 800 by 500 pixels as well. I'm going to get to this in just a minute. And I will actually even get rid of Poppy and save it so that you can see that we have right now just a red background, right? So I'm starting with just a red background. We have our images up top, Poppy, branch, and image mask. So I can do something really simple, like just say image, and then what image do I want to draw? I want to draw the Poppy image, and where do I want to draw that image? I want its top left corner to be at 0, 0. Right? That's a little bit of review for you, but if I save that off, indeed you'll see that now we have a red background that's being drawn, but I'm immediately overlaying that Poppy image data. So you never see the red background, right? Because each frame, each cycle through draw, I am drawing a red background and then just immediately putting an image file atop it, so you never see it. The red background will come in handy in just a minute. Okay, so let's shut off Poppy for a second. Go back to that red background. And this time around, we have our branch image loaded, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that mask method that we talked about in the reference file. And you'll see now that I'm taking my branch image and I'm applying the mask method to it. So the mask method accepts as an argument another image. So what's the image that we're going to use to mask this image? Well, we're going to use that image mask, that silhouette of branch that we drew. All right, so now if I do that, and then I draw branch on top of that red background, you will see that I have branch. But we don't have his blue background. Just to kind of familiarize with you with the incomplete image, I'll shut off the mask for a second, and you'll see that that's the normal image, right? So that's branch's image with a blue gradient background. That's how the photo appears without being manipulated. So putting that image back and masking it, you can see that now you can see that red background behind it. I could shut off the red background, and then you'll just see a white background behind branch. I could put Poppy behind him. And now you have branch standing in front of the other trolls, and Poppy's sort of obscured back there, but you can see how we can composite elements of one photograph or one image atop another, just like, sort of an ad hoc Photoshop. The cool thing about this, though, is that you can even, instead of drawing, in this case, we're drawing branch at location 0, 0, just laying him statically. But we could do something a little bit more clever, and I'm just going to turn on a few lines of code here, and I'll explain them to you. But I will shut branch off, and I am going to do this instead. Okay, I turned on a couple of lines of code. Over here at line 24, you'll see that I'm starting each frame of draw by explicitly declaring our image mode as corner. So just like we had like a rect mode, or that will allow you to do rect mode center or draw the rectangle in the center, we have image mode. And image mode has different properties as well. Image mode has corner, which is its default mode, or it has center, which would draw from the center of an XY value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have branch follow my mouse movements, right? So the branch image is going to be superimposed atop the Poppy image, and I'm going to move branch around my background. Okay? So what I do is I start my code by saying corner mode, because each time through draw, I want to draw my Poppy image in the top left corner. But then I want to shift my mode back to center mode, because what I want to do here at line 36 and 37, I'm going to shift the image mode to center and then draw my branch image right here at the mouse X and mouse Y position. All right, so that way, by declaring image mode center before I draw at XY, I can keep my branch right under my mouse position. So I'm going to do that now, and you will see as I go here that now I have, hello, hi, I'm branch. And I can, so you can think about this in terms of maybe a game or something like that, or if you wanted to have some sort of an interactive storybook or something where the characters could move. I'm just doing it based on mouse X, mouse Y position, but you could do something with an event, on mouse click. Maybe you could move a character to a certain spot or have a character appear at a certain spot or that sort of thing. So that is masking. Before we go, I wanted to share with you one of our friends, one of our students in class, Sylvie Hanna. She had written to me a couple of weeks ago asking about this same kind of a problem. So she was working on image objects back in week 7 when we did those shields. She thought about a project where she'd have this surfboard that she drew. She's a great illustrator, obviously. Cool surfboard that she drew in Adobe Illustrator, I think. And she had envisioned a sketch wherein you can click and then decorate your surfboard with all these cool designs, right? So she has this array of images that she's clicking on. Array of images that she's randomly loading so that each time you click on the surfboard, you get a random decoration for your surfboard from this array of images that she's created. But she originally had it set up such that, if you clicked over here, let's say off the surfboard, the images would just go all over the canvas. And she had asked me, hey, would it be possible for me to just show my sketch elements in the area above my photo of my surfboard? I'm like, yeah, you can do this with a mask. So I thought it was pretty cool that we could share this. And you notice if I click towards the edge of the surfboard, you'll see that her images are now being cropped such that they only appear on top of the perimeter of the surfboard. So that's how she chose to use this same masking technique to create a really cool little sketch. I thought this was brilliant, and so kudos to Sylvie for this cool thing, and I'm glad that we could share it here. So if you'd like to see it, she shared it in one of the discussion forums, and I apologize, I can't remember which one it is, but if you go to bigheartlittlehands.com/surfboard, you can take a peek at it as well. So that's masking. In the next video, we've dealt with images as an entity, like a collection of pixels. In the next video and in the ones that follow, we're going to drill into specific pixels within that image array and allow us to manipulate at a pixel level the data that we're collecting.